Parth, Priya, thank you so much for taking time out to join this, what we're calling the Adda with Economic Times. As Adda goes, it's a free-flowing conversation about your personal experience, your journey. Parth, it's been your first time in Davos. Priya, it's been your second. I want to start with the man who's making his debut this time around. 3 days or 4 days that you've been here, what struck you as the most wow feature of Davos?
I think the number of heads of companies, heads of state, the number of our chief ministers just roaming the streets and roaming the Congress Center is just incredible. I kind of got a bit overwhelmed at the beginning because it's like speed dating. You're just like going boom, 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 and meeting so many people, making so many connections, and how do you keep up? How do you process it?
Correct.
But I thought it's incredible that how all the world comes to a small tiny village in Switzerland where policy gets made or gets discussed, and we're missing a few countries obviously this time. US presence is much less. China, you don't see. I've not seen a single Chinese person. But at least eye-opening and an incredible place for networking.
You talked about China, and I'll give you a real example from yesterday. So last night we were all at a with the McKinsey nightcap. There, for the first time, I met someone who's from China, a Chinese lady, and she said, generally who you are, what do you do? Are you from McKinsey? I said, no. Okay, where are you from? I said, India. She said, okay, bye. It was the end of that's the shortest conversation I've had in Davos. So, hopefully she'll connect on LinkedIn. But Priya, I wanted to ask you, all of us, we take time to get to know people. How does this work for you guys in business? In Davos, it's all about 15 minutes. As Parth said, it is actually speed dating. So, this is where you connect, probably exchange numbers, cards, and then you follow it up with subsequent meetings, or then you wait for the 1 year later and then you meet again and you take things forward. I mean, 15 minutes clearly from outside in looks, it's nothing.
I think the best part about Davos is that, yes, of course, there's that 15-minute situation where everyone's in a rush, everyone wants to meet more and more people, you leave your card. And of course, the follow-up is the most important thing. But what I love is that you have individuals in many different stages of their lives here. You have individuals who are just starting out, at their ideating stage of their startup or what they want to do in the future. They have disruptive ideas that could change the world. It's amazing what kind of the young global leaders, who come here, absolutely phenomenal ideas, to the heads of states, presidents, prime ministers. And the fact is that everybody is open. And in this place, it's a universe where everybody is willing to talk to everybody. Even last night, like we discussed, we were at the Barry's Bar. The Prime Minister of Belgium was there singing and dancing with everybody. And, within those conversations, you can learn about each other. You can learn about what you want to, achieve. These conversations, it's not about those 15 minutes. It's about, being able to have 15 minutes with such a wide spectrum of individuals that you could not have 15 minutes with in an entire year on many years. In 4 or 5 days, you can meet people in a short span of time who you wouldn't have met in your whole lifetime.
Correct. No, but here I want to ask this to both of you. Both of you are running companies or working in an age of hyper information. Can you ever really let your guard down? At the end of the day, you also represent large listed corporations, and you are the key man or key woman in your case. So the example that you gave, this Belgian head of state, everyone can be a journalist today. I take a photo and I just put it out there, Vedanta CEO, partying and not doing the business or whatever. I mean, you know how things get twisted. So how do you can you ever really relax, or it's always playing in your head?
I think the key is, your focus is clear. You know why you're here. You know the impact you want to make. You know the change you want to make, or you know where you want to go with your company or your career. Yeah. Everything else is surround. And whether you're here or anywhere else, you can be anyone. It's not up to you always what others may have to say about you. But as long as your focus is clear, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, what matters is that you're achieving the goals you want to achieve. And it's not about any of us sitting here. It's also about this is something we talk to the employees about. We have women employees who are who think what will people think, or what will their families think. If you start thinking about all of that, you'll not be able to focus on your outcomes. So I think it's just important to focus on what you want to achieve and let the surround
noise not get to you.
Yeah.
But since you were coming here for the first time, did you set an agenda for yourself that, okay, I'm seeing all these programs this time around, I really want to know more about AI, or more about chip making and possibly the geopolitics of it, and accordingly literally customize your schedule accordingly?
So since this is my first time coming, and my parents have been coming for 18 years now, so we overlapped for a day. So I thought that I would shadow my father for day one and just follow him around and just sit next to him and just see what happens. But being the World Economic Forum, as soon as you register, you start getting inundated with meeting requests, and also I did pick and choose a few meetings. I did want to go hear some of the key speakers. So the Argentinian president was someone who I really wanted to hear, and I went for that today. I wanted to hear what Mohammed Yunus was saying as well, so I went and heard him. President Trump is speaking
in the evening,
today. So things like that. So it was a mix and match, but I think now, having come here, having seen it, having understood it, I'll be much better prepared for next year.
But the two speeches that you talked about, Bangladesh and Argentina, I guess Argentina especially, there was a lot of attention. I guess after Trump, probably everyone wanted to listen to him. What is it about him that you think the world is going cuckoo about? Or what is it about the speech that you really liked, or your key takeaway from his speech?
He's a radical right realist, I would say, and he took on the World Economic Forum.
Oh, really?
In the speech, he was like, wokeism is promoted by the World Economic Forum, and you guys are responsible for wokeism. And he spoke about gender, how there are only two genders. There's nothing like anything else. He spoke about so many things which were just. He has a very clear, very hard, very direct stand. You either agree with it or you don't agree with it. There's no gray area in this. There's no liberal discussion on it. It's clear. And I was just amazed that like such a strong world leader making such strong statements on so many different aspects, and someone who's actually transformed the economy of Argentina, a country that was on the brink of collapse and has collapsed so many times, and has had IMF bailout after bailout. In 1 year, 3 months, he's taken it to a surplus. He's brought inflation under control. So I just went from that point of view. I had no idea that he's going to speak about all these other social elements and wokeism and all of that. And that just blew my mind that he was doing this in front of the World Economic Forum. But it really showed me that the man has courage and he has conviction in his thought process. And it was just fascinating to hear him.
Do you feel we are taking wokeism a little, too much, too far, and too soon? Is there a disconnect, which is why there's this pushback, not just in WEF or in America, even in India?
I think the leaders and everything that, Parth has spoken about, and also everything that we're seeing with what's happening with the world leaders today, I think everybody is very clear, like he said, whether it's the US president who's coming on board, whether it's the Argentinian, everybody has come with a very clear mindset. Nobody is trying to, talk about what the world, what they feel the world would want to hear. They're actually talking about things that they have come to achieve and change about their, countries. And I think I respect that. I respect that they've come with their, with their very clear agenda. And I think, I don't want to get into wokeism. There's many different, different perceptions and purviews about that. But I would just say that I respect that everyone's coming with their point of view. And finally, it's, with any leader, with anybody in the world, you have to see, lots of things are said, but so many times that will tell in terms of what will change. Yeah.
How much of it actual words translate into action?
Exactly.
Yeah, true. Some years back, India was at the nerve center of wealth, right? This time around, I don't know. I mean, it's your first, so probably you won't feel it so much. It just seems to be China and America, two blocks, and that's it. The world, you're with one of them or you're against. You have to be part of a group. Is that, how does that translate when you are working in business groups which have international aspirations? You want to do business, you want to source maybe from China, you do business with China. Parth has joined a very key alliance with China, even in commodities, China plays a huge role. America is a natural market for exports, etc. So how does Indian companies who want to work with both navigate these waters?
I mean, I would like to talk about the sector that we're in, the critical minerals, commodities. Everyone today is talking about energy transition, and what one is coming to realize now, and what the World Bank just said, you need $1.7 trillion of mining investment for the energy transition to happen successfully. Now, for that to happen, we're talking about solar panels. You need silver in the size of Spain for the energy transition to happen. That's the amount of surface level silver that you need. Now, all of this has to be done in a way where countries have to work together. It's not one country or two countries. Currently, all of these commodities are concentrated in certain geographies. America, UK, the Middle East, China, South America, they've all grown, and they've all grown their economies with these core commodities. It's really time, and it's really time now to make sure that countries like India, which are fairly friendly countries with the world, and everyone's talking about China plus one. It's time for India and countries like India and the global South to start, at least in this commodity sector, to start. We've only explored less than 15% of the natural resources that we have. The other countries have completely, So I see this as an opportunity for India. While there's geopolitics going on, India is in that sweet spot where we can actually produce for the world. And we have those natural resources. We have silver, we have copper, we have all of this. So why not take this entire situation as an opportunity and start harnessing what we have and produce for the world? And the best part is today it can all be done so much more sustainably than we used to before, when the other countries were doing it. Today, with the kind of tech and innovation, mining can be done with almost no harm to the environment. One can, we are, before it used to be like an open heart surgery. Today, a heart surgery is done robotically. It's the same thing with mining. You can do it with minimal invasiveness to the environment, and you can fill it back in. In fact, we have reclaimed mines that have more biodiversity today than they had before. So everything is possible today, and we're in that spot to do this, to harness what we have and do it right.
But Parth, for example, for steel, iron ore, the iron ore that we have, many would argue, is not that great quality, from a Fe content point of view. So therefore, we have to get a lot of raw material from overseas. So, how does India, navigate in sectors where you have to depend on China or other sources? When it becomes these big blocks, that ideally we would be a neutral player. We want to be non-aligned, so to speak, like going back to the old days. Are you facing that conversation? Are people telling you, are you thinking of moving away from sourcing from China and moving towards other sources? Or, how are you navigating? I find that fascinating.
See, I think there's one thing that's very clear, that when it comes to new energy, whether it's renewable energy, whether it's electric vehicles, whether it's plug-in hybrids, anything to do with energy transition, the country that has taken the lead far beyond any of our imagination is China.
Yeah.
And if we think as a country that we can do without bringing in technology from China, it is possible. No one is saying it is not possible. But for a developing country like India, it will be very expensive. So hence, it is very important to recognize which country has strengths, and it is important to bring that technology for the benefit of our country. So that is our fundamental belief. Now, our government has shown that you have to put India first. Whether it is buying oil from Russia and going for Howdy Modi, we have shown that we are friends across the aisle and we will do what is in the interest of our country. Similarly, for industry, it is the same thing. Today, JSW Steel on one hand is saying China is dumping steel into India.
Yeah.
So we need to safeguard Indian industry from China's dumping. And on the other hand, JSW Energy is bringing in solar panels from China and has done a joint venture with MG Motors for cars.
Yeah.
So there's a clear dichotomy that one place you're saying no China, on the other place you're tying up with China.
Yeah.
But at the core of both of this, we are saying that we are keeping India first. Why we are saying don't allow dumping to happen of steel or any other metal into India is because it will cause harm to the Indian industry. And if it causes harm to the Indian industry, not Vedanta, not JSW, not Tata, nobody will invest in making new steel plants, new aluminium refineries, new anything in India. And that will create no new jobs in our country. And that will result in huge economic slowdown for our country. On the other hand, why we are bringing technology from China, whether it is for new energy vehicles, whether it is for wind, solar, pump storage, etc., is because that will give the cheapest electricity and cheapest cars to the Indian consumer. So that's how we are thinking of it. Government also asks us, on one hand you make strong statements, on the other hand you tie up with them. What are you doing? We've given them this logic and they're saying, okay, it makes sense. And I hope now with the border issues between India and China getting softening and bilateral ties improving, this will enhance the ties between the two countries. But at the same stage, we need to realize that we are in a sweet spot as a country. $4 trillion economy will become a $10 trillion economy. Nothing can stop it. And if we don't protect our own country and if we don't protect our domestic market and we allow foreigners to come into our country by dumping, it was going to harm the overall landscape for the country. And I'll just give one example. Japan and Korea, right? They have a free trade agreement with India. Please just check how much steel has gone from India to Japan and Korea. Even though there's a free trade agreement, they have an unwritten rule in their country that you cannot buy a single piece of commodity, not a single ton of commodity from India. And not 1 ton in the last how many ever years we've had the FTA has gone from India to that country, even though we've tried. We've said any price, just take it. But they don't. So they have a national project. Here many times we are all competing so hard with each other, we lose ground of the national project. And I think there's been a big change with this current government over the last 11 years, where the country is coming first. And we are trying to navigate it that way.
Priya, do you when you talk to your peers here, friends, of people you're meeting for the first time, do you think there's still some information deficit about India? There's still a lot of misconceptions about India, about India's federal structure. Everybody, within the first 5 minutes, people start talking about, it's very difficult to, after China, it's very difficult to navigate India and Indian regulatory landscape. You have center, you have states, etc., etc. They often don't talk to each other. Have you faced that problem? And the other thing I want to add to that, and then in such situations, do you become the brand ambassador, not just of Vedanta, but also of India?
So I think it's improved a lot. I would say over the years, I think people are understanding India better. I think the world wants India to be, wants India to be a little bit more accessible. I think that want is there, that intrigue, is there for India to develop and sort of build relationships more and more with, entities from different parts of the world. I mean, I can give you a very different example with regards to philanthropy. I was at a NexGen forum, the Bill Gates NexGen forum, and I was sitting with a bunch of the biggest, NexGen individuals. And all of them had the same thing to say. They said that we want to, all of these individuals have a lot of philanthropic money that they want to give to develop and help different parts of the world. But they have very clearly said that they're able to send and help a lot of different countries in the world, but they haven't been able to access India and put that philanthropic sense over there. So there is, that gap. There is that, but I think with the current government, with the way the current government is going and meeting and talking about and building relationships with the world, I think this is definitely going to change. And I think India is definitely going to be that next space where everyone is comfortable and will do a lot more work with over time.
Thus far, who has been the most interesting person you've met? Priya has met someone who's talking about mining on the moon.
Yes.
Wow.
Right? And she let her
and out of space.
And out of space. So
Yeah.
let her tell that story
Yeah.
for everyone. Because the person, I don't think she knew him or her from Adam and saw her on the road and came running and did a full presentation, I think.
So that's the best part about Davos, right? When you sort of keep your day a little bit open and walk around on the streets and just walk around and just meet people, the kind of people you will meet are incredible. And this was a startup called Offworld. They just startup. So the founder is a Parsi guy, but
Only a Bawa can.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he saw my name tag and he saw Hindustan Zinc Vedanta. He caught me. He said, "Please come to the cafe with me. I have to show you something." Wow. So I went into the cafe and he had this amazing video of how, and he's doing these, he's doing some of these pilots in some of the big mining majors already, where robots are doing everything. Yeah. And he's saying the same thing that I'm doing here with robots, I can send to outer space. And that is what the future is going to look like. Everyone's talking about critical minerals. Everyone's talking about how there's going to be, a crisis. But if we start harnessing the world outside the earth, maybe we can help that. And it was very, very interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who was the most interesting?
I met a very interesting startup again. Again, she just randomly messaged me on the app saying that she's a MIT spin-off making green cement and zero carbon cement. And she uses, instead of using heat to reduce the rock, she uses electricity. And they have got funding from Bill Gates and several other people. And she came and showed me the whole thing. And she said, "Please come to Boston and visit our lab. We have a pilot project there. You can see, and we would love to do a commercial scale plant in India. And could the industry fund it and take it up?" So amazing to see what kind of things people are thinking of. Like Priya said, I mean. Now I will keep an eye out and just walk the street to hopefully meet interesting.
It's the best thing.
But
I will vouch for that.
Yeah.
That's true. It's almost like we can have a Shark Tank on the go, and people people can come pitch while we talk. We do usually interviews like that. When people are moving from point A to point B, because in Davos everyone's on the go. But I want to ask you, both of you have studied overseas. The whole idea of a Silicon Valley or these big industrial hubs that have come up, it has been a symbiotic or organic relationship between industry, academics or universities, and the whole R&D process. In India, it's missing still. When you come here, you see that how simple it is, and it can be done. What is realistic for India?
Do you really think it's missing to a big extent? I think India has come a long way in this journey. I think if you look at our institutions, if you look at what the IITs are doing, if you look at what the corporates are doing with startups, if you look at what's happening in the startup ecosystem of India, it's transformed in the last 10 years. The kind of startups that have come up and the kind of innovation and the ideas that our Indian youth are bringing to the table, I think it's unparalleled. I think it's completely unfair to say that India has a gap. I think we're going absolutely in the right direction, and I think we're doing it right, because here in Davos, what I was speaking about earlier, people are overdoing AI. You walk around and there's so much AI which is useless AI. Why are you spending so much time on AI which is actually not going to it's actually going to cause a negative it's going to be negative on human life. You're going to get lazier. It's making you do less. It's making it is putting your health into trouble. People are not using their minds. They're using ChatGPT instead. So I just feel like, you in India, whereas I think all of these things are being used very sensibly. Use AI for medical tech. Use AI for things that are going to help improve lives, and not AI can be. It's absolutely going in a direction where it can be dangerous for human lives, and not only human lives, our entire environment. So I think when we talk about India, I think we're absolutely on the right track here, and I think we should absolutely keep going the way we are, and I think we will be the startup hub, and the next Silicon Valley of the world is going to be in India.
But as a parent, I mean,
I have a little. I agree with large parts of what Priya said, but I have a slightly different take on a few things. I think that as a country and as a economy, our spend on R&D is very low. And in general, Indian companies are buyers of technology. We don't create our own technology, we buy technology. We look at the best German technology, best Japanese technology, best Chinese technology, and we bring it into our country. Very little R&D is actually happening in India. And even if you go and meet with the top professors of IITs and all our institutions, they struggle to get funding. And the culture of giving is just started in India, and we as industry, we as individuals need to give a lot more back to our institutions. We see large families in India giving to foreign institutions, but we don't see large gifts being given to Indian institutions.
Exactly.
And I think that culture is changing. Now people are coming, you have various examples. But again, they want to build their own. Even we say we'll build our own university. Why can't so? But what we actually need to do is support institutions. Second is, I think academia and corporates need to work much closer together, and that's something that I've seen a lot when I was studying abroad. And it's very organized, and the institutions come with very organized pitches. That, hey, we can do this for JSW Steel, hey, we can do that for JSW Energy. The Indian institutions are not doing that as of now. So the onus is also on them and their professors to come with projects which are relevant to Vedanta, relevant to JSW, relevant to whoever, and say, hey, fund us, give us a professorship, give us a chair, give us a floor, give us a lab. It's starting, but it takes time. But now, as a country, as we develop, we need to, while we will continue to buy technology, we need to make our own technology as well. And I think it's a part of evolution. It's a part of progress. It's a part of having money. Now we are becoming richer companies, richer, better balance sheets, globally recognized, globally relevant balance sheets in any business you take. So now we have to change our little bit thought process. Ki, no, Japan mein hai na, wo le aao. Germany mein hai na, wo le aao. No, let us build our own.
But let's look at you. If I'm IIT Bombay, I come to you and say, give us a chair, let's work something out, and your alum comes, won't you naturally be inclined towards like, I know this place, I know my money will be properly used, there'll be proper R&D, versus I know this institution is good, but I don't know whether the impact that I want for my money will happen in this place. So isn't there a problem there?
No, I think. First of all, 1 crore
Yeah.
that you give in India is equivalent to giving $1 million in the US.
Yeah.
So the bang for the buck you get in India, you cannot even compare with US. Second is we have already started. So we have given a floor for the metallurgy lab in IIT Mumbai. We've given to Priya University. We've given to Anant University. We've done the JSW School of Public Policy at IIM Ahmedabad. We've done the new academic block at the National Law School in Bangalore. So we're trying to give back. But I'm just saying that we all have to improve the relationship between academia and business. And everyone, like if I look at JSW Steel's R&D spend, it's 0.0125% of our top line. If I look at JFE Steel's R&D spend, it is 4.5%. I mean, how will we build anything? How will we get patents? How will we get technology? So it was great in 2008 when we were a small company and we wanted technology. Now in 2025, when we are bigger than JFE Steel or anybody, we have to have our own. So that's what I'm saying. So it's a part of evolution, but what you said, we need to improve.
I agree with him. I absolutely agree that we need to do more R&D. But like you said as well, and the fact is that it's happening. I think there's a large amount of, let's say, huge improvement, and we see that because we started Vedanta Spark, an initiative within Vedanta, and every year we put 100 startups in our ecosystem just to test and pilot their technologies and how we can get more cost efficient, how we can increase our volume, how our ESG practices can be better. And out of 100, 30 of them succeed, and 30 of them have made actual differences in all three areas, whether it's safety, whether it's cost efficiency, whether it's process efficiencies, everything. And this is their tech, it's there. I think, like he said,
would you then invest in that?
And then you invest in the ones that are doing well. Amazing. And I think it's there. And but like Parth said, I think more institutions need to do such initiatives to make to bring them to life, to fund them, to make sure that they grow. I think, but I definitely think we're on the right lines. And for example, we were talking about a lithium crisis, and we just put it out there that the original batteries are made of zinc and nickel. Why can't zinc replace lithium? It's easier to access. There's a lot more of it. It's safer. It's more cost efficient. I mean, the reason your mobile phones and laptops are not allowed in your check-in luggage is because of the lithium. If it's zinc, it's water soluble. It's not combust. It's safer. And so with the IITs, and we've already partnered with them, and they have already come close to a breakthrough battery of where we can replace EV lithium batteries or data center batteries from lithium to zinc batteries. And these are breakthroughs that it's just about why to fund global institutions, like you said, when our IITians can do it as well, better, and so the world is changing, but I think we just need to support them better.
I just wanted to step back and the point about AI that you talked a while back. Both of you are also parents. Does it worry you about the world your kids are growing up into in terms of this privacy issues, hyper information, everyone's exposed, sometimes hyper exposed, the dark side of technology? It's no longer just some series on Netflix. It's here and now, and it's impacting all of us.
Yeah, I think I'm handicapped, much more handicapped than my parents' generation. If I don't know something, I just Google it, right?
Yeah.
And it's great that it's available at the click of a button, but it also means that the general knowledge has just gone down completely. Now you have AI. Like I wrote, my sister wrote a birthday card for my mother, and I wrote one. I genuinely wrote it. She got ChatGPT to write it, and my mom was like in tears and so happy. Itna beautiful poem likh di. And I said, "Was it ChatGPT?" She's like, "Yeah, don't tell mom." Like it's Yeah. But like
Yeah.
the creativity is going away
Yeah,
with
yeah,
all these
yeah,
things.
yeah.
And I think you have people saying that even studying for an exam, you just to do Chat GPT, and I don't know. Somewhere it needs to be controlled. I also think that for a country like India, where we need to create a lot of jobs every single year, if everything gets automated and if
Yeah.
everything Chat GPT comes, and you suddenly don't need people to do menial
Yeah.
jobs, what happens? How do you create those many jobs? Then you're talking about autonomous vehicles, you're talking about so many things using AI. So I think there are pros of it, there are cons of it, and
No autonomous vehicle can navigate BKC. or where her office is near the airport.
But but where autonomous vehicles are very useful, and I mean is
In a
in
mining situation, yeah.
because getting people to you're not losing jobs, you're just operating them from above the ground, and safety.
Safer.
It's
Yeah.
so much safer. So,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
so-
We are running out of time. I just want to ask you one thing. 2025, we are going to have a new president who's going to address WEF very shortly. He clearly wants to take us back to the fossil fuel age. Both of you have businesses which have a very strong ESG or a green quotient. Are we going to see complete U-turn and we're going to go back to the old ways? Is it going to be like oil and gas and coal?
Drill,
and
baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill.
Absolutely not. I think it doesn't. I mean, if America is saying drill, baby, drill, that will happen when it has to happen. Them saying drill, baby, drill doesn't mean that there's going to be sudden oil production tomorrow. There's reserves, there's exploration. It's going to take time for that to happen. That's a separate story altogether. But when it comes to Vedanta, we have committed to certain sustainability goals. We have committed to being net zero carbon before 23 of our companies have committed to being there in 5 years. Hindustan Zinc is going to be net zero in 5 years. And this is not with the SPTI, we're talking about scope 3 emissions as well. So we have made these commitments. We have a plan. It's part of the business, and we're going to make it happen. And we're going to stick to that. We're not going to change, and it makes absolute business sense as well. It is something that whether the announcement has happened or not, till today investors want to know about your sustainability and ESG practices. Till date, even simple business things like if you're going into renewable energy, you're going to be so much more cost effective going forward. You have stabilized costs, you have consistent costs. So I think there's many different business reasons to do it as well, and it's absolutely better for the world. So what we've committed to, we will definitely stick to.
But green steel, green cement, EVs, we don't know whether the business models will get broken, or how do you manage this flux? And what's the takeaway from Davos? Did you get some kind of a sense?
No, I think national security is the most important thing, and even if you look at what President Trump is doing, he's putting his country first.
Yeah.
Now, exactly to what Priya said, today going green is not just because it's better for the world. At least at JSW, I'm sure even at whatever I know about Anil Uncle and Priya, it has to be cost effective.
Yeah.
Today, going green is cost effective. Producing energy from solar or wind or pump storage is cheaper than burning coal. Now, that's a huge motivation why to go green. Now, green steel. Today, we are talking about green steel and we are looking at manufacturing green steel. But until and unless cost parity comes between regular steel and green steel, we are not going to venture in it, because to expect India to pay a premium for steel or premium for cement is not going to happen in our cycle. Yes, Europe can look at it when an average car is $80,000 here, 80,000 euros here. They can look at it. It doesn't matter to them. But when in India an average car is $10,000, no one is going to pay $1,000 extra for steel.
Yeah.
So I think the world is not going to go backward. I think that yes, US may reverse some of its policies. And even, for example, I give you an example of our US business. We were making large investments in a plate mill in Baytown in Texas to make offshore wind quality plates, offshore wind plates, which will go towards building the platforms on the offshore wind platform. President Trump, one of his first tweets was, offshore wind is a complete environmental disaster. And there will be in my tenure, there will not be one offshore wind project that will be approved. They depend on government subsidy, which we will no longer pay. So what is he saying? He's saying, if your business model is correct and your cost of generating power through offshore wind, onshore wind, oil, gas, whatever, is offshore wind and onshore wind is cheaper or equal, no problem. But don't expect me to hand out money to you to make you viable. So, which is okay, which is a view that he has taken. Now the industry is saying we need time to make it viable. So give us gap funding, which President Biden said yes to, which President Trump is saying no to. But for me, the argument for a developing country is we need to do it, and we need to do it in a cost-effective way. No one is going to pay a premium.
Last thoughts. If you were organizing WEF, if you were the chairperson of WEF, is there something you would have done differently?
So, I think the main thing I can say is that a lot of conversation happens at WEF. And the past 2 years, and from what I've seen my father, come back with, there is so much conversation, and the conversation has been happening, and large, very, very impactful conversation is happening. Largely around the similar topics of AI and energy transition, etc. I think it's time for us to see, or if I was, to see how we can actually turn this into proper action. There needs to be proper goals set for each nation. If they have to come here with some sort of commitment, there has to be something that goes back, because then finally you have a great conversation. I'm not undermining that. I think the conversations are superior, and we go back with a lot of learnings, and a lot has changed since the WEF's existence. But I think there can be much more clearer ways forward for the individuals that go back.
Your first trip, but anything that struck you that, why don't they do this?
Yeah, if through WEF we got some case studies on how connections made at WEF turned into actual business relationships, that would really open my mind as to, Uber did this with that one, or Amazon did this with that one, or, Reliance did this with that one, or whatever. If I got some case studies like that, or it was displayed somewhere, or there was a manual which said, these are the connections made at WEF which led to business outcomes, then it would help me prepare and go into meetings with, that, I could achieve certain outcomes. So just one of the thoughts, but I'm blown away that they could manage to organize something like this in a tiny village like Davos.
Which is now becoming literally a megapolis. And I guess the other thing is the mingling that happens. I mean, in each panel, the kind of diversity that you see, that is truly what boggles everyone's mind, I guess. Priya, Parth, thanks a ton. It was really an Adda. And I loved it. I hope you guys did too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So
And
much fun.
having us.
Thank you.